9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0.
Welcome to the lesson on the bat pattern. The bat pattern is similar to the Gartley pattern, but it is different in its Fibonacci retracements. In this lesson, we will walk you through the setup and show you the key differences in this pattern when compared to the Gartley. Finally, we will define the PRZ to ensure that your trade is the correct one. The bat pattern was originally founded in its current form in 2001 by Scott Carney. It was often termed to be the most accurate of all harmonic patterns. Much like the Gartley pattern, the bat pattern is a retracement pattern in which the entire pattern is encompassed in the X to A leg. Let's take a look here. The bullish bat will be on the left and the bearish bat will be on the right. The first move is the X to A impulse leg. This is the longest and strongest leg of the pattern. Like the Gartley pattern, it should stick out like a sore thumb and be easy to find. The next one is the retracement, the A to B leg. The B point must be less than the 618, preferably a 5.0 or a 382 of the XA leg. If the B point touches the 618, it has now become a Gartley pattern. The 0.5 sets up for the ideal bat pattern and sets up the rest of the pattern for the better alignment of Fibonacci ratios. The BC point must come in at the 382 to 886, just like the Gartley pattern. An ideal bat would have between a 0.5 and a 618. The next leg takes us to the PRZ, which is the completion at the D point. This utilizes a minimum 1.618 BC projection. This projection can go to a 2.618. In addition, the most ideal reading would be a 2.0 projection. The AB equals CD pattern within the bat is extended and usually requires a 127 AB equals CD calculation. It also uses an 886 of an XA retracement, which is the most important of all the elements in the PRZ. The PRZ is a well-defined zone. You must be thinking about the completion of the bat pattern well before it actually completes, because quick reversals from the PRZ are common with the bat pattern. Price action can be volatile and violent in this zone. The pattern incorporates an AB equals CD pattern, usually extended, a 1.618 to 2.618 BC projection, and an 886 XA retracement. The XA retracement is the defining element of the PRZ. You will see that the bat pattern usually comes down, touches the 886, and reverses. Stop should go below the X point, just like the Gartley pattern. It is an incredibly accurate pattern and requires a smaller stop than most other patterns. The targets would be the same as the Gartley, which would be the 382 and the 618 of the AD retracement. Since this pattern can have a volatile PRZ, you have to pay attention to pattern failure. Failure would be a break below the PRZ zone. So you understand the basics of the bat pattern now. Let's take a look at it in the real market. Again, take a few seconds, look for the bat pattern, and then we will go over it. Okay, the one I am looking at starts from there. Here's our impulse leg. You can see that we have, if you're an Elliott wave kind of person, you can see we have waves within here. Then we get what looks to be the B retracement. Now, we're going to have to confirm that all this works. And obviously I've confirmed it beforehand. But this is the one I'm looking for. This is the W type structure. Remember, they can be M or W type structures. Okay, so let's go through this step by step and make sure that this works. Okay, so we have the X point up top. That's easy enough. Then we go down to our A point, and with the impulse leg, we just want it to stick out, so it does stick out. Then let's look at our fib retracement. We will put that in, and it looks like we come up just to the 50, almost go to the 618, but we don't, so that's perfect. Okay, so we have our B point. Now we need to check and see this C point, make sure that aligns. Remember, we are looking for at least a 382 all the way to an 886. Goes to a 382, almost gets to a 50, but 382 is valid. So we have our C point and then our D point. Now this comes in at a lot of different levels. So the first one we want to look for is the 886 of the X to A leg. And we will put in a little ray here just to mark that. And then we're going to look for the 1.618 of the BC. Remember, a 2.0 is better, but a 1.618 is the minimum. So we have our BC projection. So we'll do a fib projection on that. And let me pull that over just a touch. You can see that our preferred 2.0 comes in just below the 886 of the XA. Okay, and then we are looking for an ABCD alternate form, usually on this one. So let's do the ABCD, see where that comes in. Now, since this, remember, this is a pretty low a low retracement to the C point at a 382. So the ABCD actually comes in, just a pure ABCD comes in right in this zone. So you see you have 3 different levels that are all coming in right in the same area. So this is our PRZ. Okay, and let's look at where we had set our stop. Remember, our stop goes just beyond our X. So let's set that right there. And then let's make sure we set our targets, So we would enter preferably at the 886, which is the middle one. And let's say we entered right there, right after it had gone up there. Remember, we drop down time frames to enter. Let me remove these because it'll just make it easier if I remove it. So I guess I can leave this. My entry's there. My first target is at 72.48. And my second target is at 71.69. And remember, before we ever take a trade, we have to make sure the risk profile is valid for us. So again, let's do this. Obviously, you can see just by looking at it, we're going to have a good risk profile. And just above, so the first one's going to be 2.4 to 1, and the second one is going to be 4 to 1. So that's a very, very good risk reward profile. And so if we had entered this one, obviously a lot of these trades are working out because I've gone through, I've found good setups, good harmonic setups that obviously worked out for me in the past. So they're easy for me to show you. But again, we had gone up in this. I had gone down to an hourly time frame to look for an entry point here. Okay, I had made sure that my stops were above the X point, and you can see that we fell off pretty well here. All right, the reason we look for these kind of reversals here is because I'm playing this with the overall trend. So you can see that the trend looks pretty down here. I'm looking for structure that'll give me an extra little boost there. In addition, we have the fib levels that are working with us. So you can see that we come in here, I set my entry, we go all the way down to the 382. Remember, I roll my stops to break even at this point, and then you can see we fall off to the 618, which would take out my second position. When setting positions, again, you can do it one of 2 ways. You can just set 2 limits. Say I take a 1 lot and then I take half a lot off here and half a lot off here, or I can take 2 positions, two half lots here, and then obviously have them at different limits that way. Whatever way you decide to do is going to be up to you, but this is what I would say about these. Just make sure you're dropping down to a lower time frame to confirm that these are good entry areas. I don't like setting limits in the PRZ zone because it doesn't allow me to confirm that that we're getting a good entry and that the PRZ is a valid zone. Remember that we talked about the PRZ has a lot of criteria that it must be met before we decide to take the trade. To cap off this lesson, let's review the key points. First, there should be an extended AB equals CD pattern, more typically the 127 AB equals CD pattern. If you're having trouble with this, please refer back to the alternate ABCD pattern lesson. Second, the B point should come in at a 0.5 retracement of the XA. Remember, it can be a 382, but the 0.5 sets up much better. Finally, this is one of the most harmonic patterns of all patterns. This is why this is heavily traded in financial markets.